in Flash, once we've finished drawing our shapes, we still have some different options for distorting them and changing their shapes. Let's draw a basic rectangle just using the shape drawing. And if we draw our rectangle, you may notice that when we use our selection tool, if we go near the edges, we'll see that we can drag out these little angles by using this little rubber band type of drawing. Now if we undo this, let's start with this. We've selected our shape. What if we want to do some other things to it? We can transform this by using the free transform. You can hit either the Q key or choose the free transform from the menu under the gradient transform, and you'll see this grid will appear. This is actually called a bounding box, and you'll see these little points here. These points allow us to scale up. When we move over these points, we can drag them out to scale horizontally, vertically, or both horizontally and vertically if we grab a corner point. If we hold the Shift key, it will constrain our shape. There's other options we can do with this. We can skew by simply moving over the line. You'll notice we can now skew up and down. Or we can skew this side, depending on where you decide to select it. Another option we can do, if we go outside the circles there, we can actually, outside the corners, we can rotate just by dragging. Let's shrink this down a little bit just so we can see. Now what if you don't want to rotate it from the center? You can just take this point here in the middle. This is called this is actually called our transform point, and we move our transform point over, and now we can rotate from there. It will actually now work like a pivot. And if we want, we can move it to this side, and you can see we can rotate it from there. And this is really useful for different types of animations that you may be creating. So let's delete this, and we'll move on to some other options. There's another two options. Let's draw a rectangle. And the other two options, we grab our free transform and click on it, are not directly available from just moving over here. Let's double our tool palette here so we can see the rest of our options. We've already done the rotate and skew and the scale. But we have two other options here. One is distort. If we grab distort, we can move the individual points, and we can create different types of shapes just by basically distorting these points. And if you grab a middle point, it just scales it. But we can also just freely change the angles of these just by selecting them. So you can see that's a very useful option. Let's select that. We'll just hit Control A and delete. And we're going to grab another rectangle here. And then finally we're going to grab the last option here, which is the envelope. The envelope tool is really cool. We can just simply drag down or up, and we can add these curves. This is great for creating wavy banners or different types of effects. Like perhaps you want to create a banner, that's how you would do it. You just drag it out, and let's grab the envelope again. We can just add these little points. By moving these little handles, we can change the angles. By grabbing the squares, we can drag out the curves. And in these corners here, we just change the angle of those curves. So you can see you can have a lot of fun with that. Now let's delete that. I'll show you one other option using this. And this only works if you're using the shape, the object drawing. So we're going to create our rectangle with the object. And notice we hit the free transform. All these options work, including the envelope. So we can play around with the envelope now using our object. Now, what we can do at any time, if we want to go back to our basic shape, what we need to do is just click away, grab our selection tool, select it. Now we've got our shape or our object drawing with our blue rectangle showing us it's selected. We can go under Modify, Combine Objects, Delete Envelope. And then when we do that, it goes right back to its original shape. But you can only do that with the object. You can't do that with the shape drawing.